And Seth, no matter what you think, no matter what you've been telling yourself the past few years, size does matter.
This isn't funny, all right? A small dick's like a disability, man!
Seth Rollins, one of the most dynamic wrestlers of his generation, never quite recovered from his 2019 run as the third dullest main event champion on the WWE roster that year. I'll leave you to decide who comes in first and second for the rest of this trio of channel changers. Rollins, once the work rate king of the Shield, a man who'd shown great personality and fire as a slimeball heel, was at a crossroads as 2019 came to a close. And as the 2020s blew in, desperate to make up for the personality he tragically lost somewhere in 2017, he started raiding his insipid wife's closet. And let me tell you something. Closet is the operative word here. Camp, flamboyant, seemingly trying to be a villain out of that Adam West Batman show. But why? How? Who is he trying to be? What is he trying to tell us? Well, back in 2024, after a long day of dealing with retards in the office, all of whom just refuse to die of dysentery no matter how much I try to manifest it, I made a short, little video on these very questions. Seth Rollins, gay? ? The video was titled. Unfortunately, I dared to use what I had been assured was copyright-free music for the video, only for it to be slapped with a copyright kerfuffle as Volodymyr Gavrilyuk, whatever, was suddenly claiming monetization. Newsflash, tough guy. Don't plop your crappy elevator music on video-making software if you don't want it getting used in videos. Anyways, the topic of Zest Fruity Rollins is as relevant as ever, so it's remake time. For years, yours truly, as just suggested, thought it was a goofy gimmick to overcompensate for the lack of personality he showed as babyface Universal Champion. But I was wrong. So wrong! You see, back then I didn't have all the info. You see, to understand Seth Rollins, we have to understand his original name, his original persona before WWE, Ring of Honor, and Cyberfights legend, Tyler Black. You see, it turns out Tyler Black is a little cum si cum sa. It turns out that Seth Rollins might have a skeleton or two in his closet. And he's in extreme denial, like a handsome, successful, full head of hair version of Lars Sullivan.
Well, I'm having a great time so far, so we'll see what happens.
Wait. Is that Chris Van Vliet? Anyways, disclaimer alert, this isn't to say Colby Lopez is gay. That would be silly.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not at all.
We don't know what he gets up to in real life. This isn't MMA guru going after John Jones, or the countless folks to have suggested things about Tom Cruise and John Travolta that I'll remain silent on here. This is the long-term story of Colby Lopez's wrestling character we're discussing. Just a character that guy plays, and we're only talking about the character. Okay. So, for the non- or lapsed wrestling fans, I'm going to explain why this is the greatest, most wholesome story in years. And it's a story that's about to hit the home stretch, or homo stretch, if you will. Upon discovering Tyler Black's homoerotic journey, his limp wrists, fashion homages to gay icons of yesteryear like Elton John and Liberace, and his decision to marry a man, all start to make sense as a screaming queen in the closet, torn between putting on a straight face for wrestling and embracing his true nature as someone who'd like to have his back exit turned into a front door.
You bumder!
You see, prior to his 2019 feud with The Fiend, Rollins was able to largely disguise his true nature. But something about that feud changed him. Maybe It was that they provided the absolute worst matches of his entire career. Or that he was caught on camera, screaming like a girl when the Fiend was, somewhat near him in the ring one time. Okay, good. Whatever the case, we've seen Rollins not only fail to keep a lid on his repressed reality since then, but actually flaunt it to the masses, many of whom seem oddly oblivious to it, just saying Seth Rollins is having fun, like he's Adam Copeland, crippling himself in AEW or something.
I have had a phenomenal career. I have fun everywhere I've been. But this is the most fun that I have had in my entire 32-year professional wrestling career.
And then there's a real kicker that comes into view. A man who, through no fault of his own, makes it clear what's really going on with Seth Rollins. Cody Rhodes. WrestleMania 38 saw the American Nightmare return to the WWE after helping to found another promotion whose audience didn't appreciate him ending racism or appearing on the Go Big Show. Fortunately, most of WWE's casual fans don't watch AEW, and he was able to be that rah-rah babyface, with some actual fan support. Over 3 pay-per-view PLEs, oh, damn it. The newly returned Rhodes got the better of Seth Rollins, stripping him of what little main event credibility he had left after countless jobs in the year or two prior. Rollins was clearly obsessed with Rhodes, initially shaking hands with him the night after WrestleMania and welcoming him back, only to then demand a rematch. By the time Hell in a Cell arrived, Rollins was sporting the polka dots, trolling an injured Rhodes after having lost to him twice, and still, right now, to a basically one-armed Rhodes gearing up to lose to him again. Now, at a glance, you might think Rollins was just doing all of this because he was upset about losing. But like I said, he lost like it was going out of fashion at the time, coming up short frequently at PLEs and on live TV. He claims it was because Rhodes was a surprise opponent at Mania. He claims it was because Rhodes held the tights at WrestleMania Backlash. And just call it Backlash, bloody hell, what a terrible decision that was in 2022. But no, it was because in Cody Rhodes, a man of honor, who wore his heart on his sleeve, who'd left and paved his way back to success, Seth Rollins found a real man, and one who he just couldn't resist. The night after Hell in a Cell, Rollins initially plays nice, tugging on the heartstrings of the always teary, always emotional Cody Rhodes. But he can't let himself get too close, so he jumps Rhodes with a sledgehammer before, and this is key, this next part, tearing some of his clothes off. In a fit of primal lust. We go a long stretch of relative normalcy after that. Rollins is still doing his little dress-ups, but he finds focus as World Heavyweight Champion in 2023. Defending the belt against all comers, but then the road to WrestleMania 40 changes everything. With Cody Rhodes back in view, Rollins initially pleads with Rhodes to challenge for his secondary prop belt instead of the actual world title held by Roman Reigns at the time. When that fails, he still weasels his way into Cody's life by offering to be his shield. Yes, that's right. I'll be your shield, Cody. Get in close behind me, real close, and let me shield for you. In fact, Rollins is so in love with Rhodes, he just forgets about his own career in the process, worrying more about The Rock putting hands on his man than the encroaching threat of 100% hetero Mania challenger, Drew McIntyre. With a bum knee, Rollins still goes to war for Cody, quickly loses to Drew, but doesn't seem to care so long as his new man, sorry Becky, wins the gold in the main event. Now, Rollins spends large portions of 2024 after that recovering from one of his litany of knee injuries. In that time, to the complaint of absolutely no one, Becky Lynch very conveniently opted to take a break from wrestling that unfortunately did come to an end eventually. When Rollins came back, now in Rhodes' good graces, and with Lynch possibly out of the picture, could we finally see Rollins officially reveal what we've clearly all suspected all along? But more importantly, is there any chance of him and Cody becoming a Chuck and Billy situation? Could Cody feel the same way? even when he has Brandy at home and Ricky Starks, who at the time was still in the AEW catering section. It's a tough one. These were the questions I had in the original video. Starks has since gone on to become NXT's resident fudge packer, doing a little limp-wristed dance on the top rope while his opponent just awkwardly stands there waiting for him, stinking the joint out with a concert so bad WWE are now pretending it didn't happen, kind of like the whole Benoit thing. They chant Tony fumbled, and I actually agree, Tony Khan did fumble with Ricky Starks. He fumbled when he signed him in the first place. Anyways, Starks is still in NXT as of the time of this video, stinking the joint out with Joe Hendry. Wondering if he'll even make it to the main roster before he's 40. We'll see. Anyway, so the original video actually ended there, not the Ricky Starks rant, just the questions about Rhodes and Rollins. Obviously, since then, we know nothing happened. If it had happened, though, Rollins could have been the second ever openly gay wrestling character to be a main event star in WWE. Who's the first? I hear some of you noob fans out there ask. Well, let the evidence on that one speak for itself.
I'm gonna get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
If you actually think that I was just the right guy at the right place at the right time, well then you're a bigger delusional bastard than I thought you were, McMahon.
Rest in peace, Hulkster. We'll never have a star like you again. Now, since then, Rollins has found other objects of repressed, self-hating lust to take his queer-baiting frustrations out on. Look no further than CM Punk.
Mohammed, I sincerely apologize to you and all of Saudi Arabia. Okay?
Alright, don't diddle a goat over it, you big sycophant, jeez. In recent years, CM Punk has had two genuinely excellent blood feuds. In AEW, he had a superb rivalry with MJF, an intergenerational war between a grizzled anti-hero trying to be a better man, and the young Punk, no pun intended, villain, with a monumental chip on his shoulder. In the WWE, Punk had a similarly strong war with Drew McIntyre, where Punk's quest to have a successful WWE comeback run was cruelly sabotaged by a cruel and hateful Scotsman, leading to Punk fighting fire with fire, often sabotaging McIntyre in return. Good stuff on both counts, very entertaining. Unfortunately, for Punk's next major angle in his second run in the squared circle, he did not have the snarky wit and trolling of MJF to deal with, nor did he have the brutal intensity and mean one-liners of Drew McIntyre. He instead had this.
How's your knee, Matt? How's that knee?
Oh, boy. In both of those other feuds, the reasons for Punk's rivals being out to get him were made clear and expanded upon effectively as the stories wore on. Here, though, Rollins just hates Punk for some poorly developed issues regarding the Lockport Boys' long history of having petty arguments and grievances in the business or something like that. He's constantly ragging on Punk, infuriated, almost like Punk really hurt him behind the scenes, almost like Punk broke his heart.
I'm sorry. You got the wrong idea.
Look, hey, it's understandable that Big Zest might have mistaken Punk for a closeted poo pirate, alright? After all, Punk is a virtue-signaling hero who proudly supports the castration of easily led-astray kids. Hell yeah! Too young to drink, but old enough for life-altering hormone therapy. That makes sense. What a mighty hero and great dad that Dwayne Wade is. Damn you, DeSantis! Damn you! Ugh! Anyways, Rollins is unhealthily obsessed with Punk, but it's not intimidating like McIntyre, or surprisingly layered and dramatic like MJF. And Punk himself had played the role of the obsessively hateful heel excellently back in the late noughties, the pious, holier-than-thou, straight-edge CM Punk. believed himself a hero for taking down then-beloved fan favorite meth user and all-round walking disaster Jeff Hardy during their fantastic 2009 feud. Punk was convincing as a judgmental jerk who couldn't see the forest from the trees when it came to his own diabolical actions. No trolling here, it was genuinely an awesome delusional heel character that he did a lot of good work with, and it got a lot of heat and fan interest at the time, and rightfully so. Rollins, though, lacks that depth, and while Punk grounds his promos in a grittier, dramatic reality as a tough old babyface who's not going to let this Joker wannabe crush his world title dreams, it's simply not enough to save this feud from feeling like a broke, homeless, living under the bridge, eating spam from the can man's answer to the McIntyre feud a year earlier. The first Raw on Netflix, which, in hindsight, was the painfully obvious beginning of the end for that 2022 to 2024 Renaissance WWE programming arguably enjoyed, had Punk and Rollins throw down, with Punk getting the win, to the shock of absolutely no one. Rollins is fuming, he's devastated. This tattooed silver fox he just can't stop thinking about has humiliated him, and not in the kinky fun way he may or may not have been daydreaming about. This loss solves nothing, it's only the beginning, as Rollins crumbles mentally, declaring war on his old Shield pal / Polynesian hunk, Roman Reigns as well. Clearly impressed by Reigns' masculine, handsome looks and charisma. Let's be real. Get out of town, Cody Rhodes. This is the real dashing star of WWE. And Rollins, now out and proud and all but an official statement, takes out his lustful rage on the tribal heartthrob, stomping his good features into mush at the Royal Rumble. Shocking stuff. I was absolutely shocked. As this bizarre and spastically booked triple threat feud wore on, Punk and Reigns gradually came to fall under Rollins' prideful, rainbow-in-the-sky influence, fighting over the portly, decrepit Paul Heyman, the way two jocks might fight over a hot cheerleader in high school. Homely Heyman, a revolting slimeball, is teary-eyed as he's torn between two men who we can all agree could do a lot better, all while Rollins looks on, stirring the pot of homoerotic trouble as Triple Nose plunks the 3 stars into a bizarre, nonsensical triple threat showdown with nothing of note to really be gained. Traditionally, not always, but traditionally, Wrestlemania main events are reserved for major singles matches, often with the world title up for grabs unless the star power and rivalry was so damn strong that a world title wasn't necessary. Here, though, 3 uppercard guys are just kinda thrown together because, seemingly, the lame Triple H couldn't think of any worthwhile 1-versus-1 matches for them, all while giving a world title bout to mid-card Jay Nepo. Brilliant! Anyways, at the show, in a shocking plot twist that everyone on Earth who has ever watched pro wrestling saw coming, Paul Heyman decided it was time for a new top in his life. Zest. Fruity Rollins. Heyman reaches from behind, going clumsily, longingly through the legs of both Punk and Reigns in the closing stretch of the bout. His revolting, stubby sausage fingers staying in close proximity to both men's nether regions for a needlessly long time, before celebrating with his new CrossFit bro buddy. So we've seen Rollins hopelessly pine for rivals of his, from Cody Rhodes all the way up to now with Reigns and Punk. But what we have not seen, and are about to, is Rollins' fantasy of a harem of big, beefy men coming to fruition. Starting with Braun Breaker. And let me tell you something, Zest Rollins is all for this chap living up to his surname and then some. On the Raw after WrestleMania 41, Breaker comes, spearing, into view to help Rollins out. And after they've handed Rollins' rivals a beating, Rollins handsily, hungrily embraces the shirtless, recently tanned, well-muscled Breaker, and proudly proclaims, "That's my boy."
Alright, Gay.
It appears Rollins has found himself a young stud. Ooh. At one point, in one of the most shockingly sexual moments in WWE history, Rollins backs Breaker up into the corner. He wants his new muscle boy. To see what he's truly capable of, he's going to curb stomp proud member of the Goat Diddler community, Sammy Lame, for all the world to see. Rollins is up close and personal in Breaker's space. Heavy breathing. The thick musk of closeted lust in the air when... Shock, horror, gasp. What's this? The Monday night backdoor delight turns. He's firm, CrossFit-built bottom now pressed against the confused, stirring crotch of young Bron. Rollins then bursts forward to launch a sickening assault on Captain Feelings himself, Soimi Zane. Clearly there are backdoor shenanigans afoot, and poor Rick Steiner must be beyond devastated. And the sickness doesn't stop at the unpredictable badass. A strong contender, by the way, for worst, most try-hard nickname in wrestling history. I actually felt embarrassed saying it just now. I don't think I could say that nickname with a straight face. No pun intended, given what the topic of this video is. Oh no, it doesn't stop at Bron Breakker. Seth Rollins' old rival. Big, even though he's about 5'8" on a good day with a lot of stretching. Bronson Reed is in the house, fresh off his unfortunate self-aside attempt at War Games 2024. I think we can all agree Bronson Reed is a big, greasy boy, adding some more beef to Rollins' meaty harem of heel hijinks. Oh my goodness! And as you can see here, Reed's is rather handsy with his nemesis-turned-trusted leader. Yes. And the handsiness doesn't stop at Reed. Oh no! Look at Paunch Hayfat here at SummerSlam, lovingly embracing the anal tact from behind. It appears Rollins is more than happy to add chubby chasing to his list of sickening proclivities. Shocking stuff! I'm absolutely shocked! Or I was at the time, it's quite a few months ago now. Now, unfortunately, and this next part is not funny, nor is it meant to be a joke in any way, shape or form. Shame on you if you laugh at it. Rollins has come to suffer from a severe condition many athletes around the Big 4-0 find themselves dealing with. Fragile body syndrome. Sometimes also known as Greg Oden's disease.
They called me Mr. Glass.
You see, despite having never drawn a dime, Rollins got yet another mega push in 2025, becoming the leading man of Raw, regardless of how many Netflix subscribers said no thanks and watched something else. He's the world champion, he finally got his win back on Cody Rhodes, he's got a crew of well-oiled men at his disposal, and then it happens, you see, Rollins used to be an adventurer like you, but then he took a botched landing to the knee. But this time, rather than his knee going on yet another strike from that whole wrestling thing, it was his shoulder. Injuries are no laughing matter, of course, and very unfortunately they can happen to anyone, anytime. Professional wrestling is obscenely dangerous. But the show must go on, so Triple Nose quickly scrambles to have his boyfriend, his surrogate son, ridden off TV. Prematurely ejaculating the team turning on Rollins, something that was likely only meant to kick off on the road to Wrestlemania 42 originally. Rollins is out, CM Punk as champion is in, and the Vision, now with Logan Paul and eventually Austin Theory on hand, are allowed to just be a standard pack of tough guy heels rather than the sisters from Shawshank Redemption.
Honey, hush.
But wait, golly gosh, there's more. One of Triple Nose's biggest fetishes, masked intruders, gets involved. Men with disguises that give them that late-night glory hole look are causing trouble for the Vision. Oh my! Heavens to Betsy! Who could possibly be behind such shenanigans? Zest Fruity Rollins, and he's teasing us with another Logan Paul feud off the back of a surprise Elimination Chamber interference. Wow! And the crowd goes mild! Unfortunately, both Breakker and Reed had succumbed to Greg Oden's disease by this point. This whole appalling stable no one asked for or wanted is clearly cursed. Fate tempted by that time Rollins pretended to be hurt for a little while last year. At least according to known, non-credible, alleged journalist Dave Meltzer. Heavy emphasis on the melt. So now, as of the time I recorded this video, which will probably be ages before I get the time to actually finish making it with my horrible wagey schedule, We're getting big dance sequences with endless, glory hole men on Raw, with Rollins in the middle, the meat in the soon-to-contract Grids sandwich. Shocking stuff! Frankly, just speaking as a fan, leaving everything else to a side, this story is so bad and off the rails I've given up even attempting to analyze or summarize it in a goofy or serious way. What a load of freshly used enema kit this has all become. Anyways, a word I've used a lot in this video, Rollins, in his sad bid to give himself the kind of charisma his old Shield pals more naturally have, turned himself into a laughing, gallivanting, limp-wristed, flabbergasted flamingo of a so-called man this decade. He didn't need help on the looking like a goof front either. But he went for it regardless. Some folks, you see, are meant to be serious, work-rate wrestlers. Others are meant to be hokey, larger-than-life characters. Nothing wrong with either option. It's just important, if you are a professional wrestler, to know which one suits you. As an all-time great once said,
You know your damn role and shut